Our road today visits ancient traditions and tests the boundaries of classical Indian music. And our guides are Anoushka Shankar. Sometimes names are enough to build identities. But it takes great courage to move beyond those expectations. Anoushka Shankar's musical journey took her across continents, gave her a new family at every step, but most importantly, also gave her roots on which she built herself. Our childhoods are inevitably filled with our parents' taste, and it takes a prodigious talent to turn that into a world-renowned skill. Pirashanna Thevarajah used his childhood lessons to turn into an exceptional percussionist, performing across the world, still intent on perfecting his dexterity with the mridangam. Gharanas are an intimidating atmosphere to grow up in. Sanjeev Shankar found himself following the footsteps of his grandfather, father, and brother. He created his own fate, turning the family tradition of mastering the shehnai into a global success story. I'm Monica Dogra, singer, songwriter, and one half of electro rock act Shire and Funk. Join me as we travel far and wide to bring you stories, moments, and songs that remind us time and again that some things are just worth doing. Welcome to the Dewarists. Legacies are made of more than just names. Delhi rests in the cradle of Indian history, riddled with streets and corners overflowing with legacy. They are the stories that built this country, the notes that celebrated her victories, and the silences that mourned her losses. It's the perfect setting for our collaboration today, as we meet three musicians who are keeping alive Indian musical traditions that have trickled down through generations. Anoushka Shankar is the perfect definition of a flower child. The world has been her playground, and she's grown up, nurtured on the free-spirited thinking, in turn building her into a worthy successor of her father, Ravi Shankar's legacy.
I was born in London and I lived with my mum. My mum was really involved in the arts, so that was perhaps unusual that I grew up simultaneously in very normal London school and all of this, but also going to loads of concerts, being around all the musicians, dancers. One particular musician who showed up a lot, and he played the sitar. But I didn't actually really know he was my father until I was 7, because that's when my parents got married. It was my mum who probably wanted us to gain a relationship, and music was a way for us to begin to connect with each other. So he did become my guru right at the beginning, and it became our relationship, really. When I look at it now, that relationship has just grown over the years, because as I've grown as a musician, our relationship on stage has changed from just being a guru and a student who plays a little bit to us also collaborating a lot more. And to have something like that with a parent is quite rare and quite special, I think. I started playing the sitar when I was about 7, 8. It became something I'm incredibly close to. It's how I express myself, it feels like an extension of my voice. I was too young to be thinking in terms of a career, But as far as being in the moment and being at that age in that time, I loved the arts, I loved music. But when I graduated from high school, I got accepted to all the colleges I'd applied for and decided to defer for a year. And at the end of that year, I gave it another year. And before I knew it, I wasn't going back to college. It just felt like I already had the career path and the passion that I wanted to find in my life. In the classical world, I was playing with, flutist Jean-Pierre Rampal when I was 16, and Yehudi Menuhin was there. And my first orchestral performance was with the London Philharmonic and Zubin Mehta. There's something about performing with someone on stage where the act of performing means the showman in you has to come out. And so you can be playing with a complete legend, but you still have to bring to the table something for you to have a dialogue together. So you have to still be your best. Delhi ended up becoming a really important city for me. It became a place where I ended up forming a circle of friends. Well, there was a long-standing joke through my early 20s with all my friends because again, with most of my friends being DJs, a lot of our social time is through the night. And I was always the one that, we'd all hang out till 5 or 6 in the morning. And I know that none of them would wake up till 12 or 1 in the afternoon, but I'd be up at 9 to go and practice with my father. So it was just about committing to something you love, really. It's about things like discipline and commitment and hard work. I made a record called Rise. That record was really special for me. It was the first really, really personal thing I'd done musically. I was in my mid-20s by now. I was about 23. And I was finding it all very difficult. I just felt like I'd been touring nonstop since I was a kid and didn't really know who I was or what I wanted to do. And so I took a year off. And the irony is I went and made a record. I thought I was going to go backpacking and go through Africa and I made a record. But it was because I finally gave myself the space, and I ended up making music because I wanted to, and it drew on everything. It was didgeridoo and sitar and electronica and scatting and jazz and flamenco. It was just everything I loved. But it felt like my baby, and it felt like it was the first time I could look at an album of music and just go, wow, this is mine. I live across 3 continents and my friends are from all over the planet. And so therefore the musicians I meet are also from all over the planet. Most of the music I write tends to be music that has an Indian heart and yet is not as easy to pin down and identify in relation to a culture in its whole. So I try and still go back to those roots and keep what's really ancient alive and moving forward, basically. And I feel like that's what happens in people. You get passed on things from your parents and from your genes and from your history, but then what you are is a product of your history and the times you live in as well.
There are few instruments that can play the one perfect plaintive note of longing, betrayal, loss, and bliss almost at the same time, and fewer musicians who can coax it out. Meet Sanjeev Shankar, our next collaborator, and master shehnai player.
Shehnai is in our family for almost 300 plus years now. My father, my grandfather, and each and every one in my family is either a shehnai player or a flutist. Before picking up shehnai, I started playing sitar for 2 or 3 years actually. Pandit Ravi Shankar ji's birthday was being celebrated, and he asked my father to play for him. All of us went there to his house and we were playing, and I was the only one there sitting on the stage doing nothing at all actually. All my brothers were playing either tabla or shehnai. And when he saw me and he said, "Why are you not doing anything?" I said, "Guruji, I'm learning to play sitar." And he said, "Or you should switch to shehnai because it is your family instrument and you should try to keep up the tradition." That day onwards, I didn't touch the sitar anymore. And from next day, I started playing shehnai. Shehnai is a very, very tough instrument. It is very tough to master. Even to play a single musical note in the right manner, it takes years to master that. But my grandfather used to say, like, if you cannot bear the pain, then you won't be able to be a good musician. It took me 3 years, I think, just to get the feeling that, no, I'm now a shehnai player and that's what I'm going to do. My dream for shehnai is to make it so popular that at least people remember the correct spelling of the instrument, and everyone should listen to it at least once before saying, no, I don't like it. I've been trying to do a lot of crossover works, so the kind of audience that I get these days is quite young. Sitar is very popular, tabla is very popular, sarod is very popular, flute is very popular. So at least in that standard, I want my shehnai to be there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm trying, and I think someday I will be able to do it.
Music that flows down through generations need not necessarily be in the tradition of a gharana. We grow up listening to a variety of music, especially influenced by what our parents lead us through. Just like our third collaborator, percussionist Pirashanna Thevarajah.
I spent the first 4 years of my life in London. My parents were pretty strong on culture, going to temples and stuff, going to festivals and going to concerts and stuff like that. My mother learnt Bharatanatyam and vocal, but for various reasons she wasn't able to pursue it. In fact, it's because of her that I got into music. She wanted myself and my brother to learn Carnatic music. We just kind of started learning the mridangam from there. At first I didn't like it, but then within 6 months I just started to like it a lot. I was always looking forward to classes. So from about 11, I would say, I think I started spending most of my weekends in class. So I'd go in the morning about 9 o'clock, come home at about 5, 6 o'clock. Pretty much most of my childhood I wasn't really going out or playing much. I was just rehearsing or going to small concerts or just with my teacher practicing. I think by that time I decided music's going to be a part of my life, but I didn't think I'd take it up as a career or anything like that. I started doing bigger performances like by my early mid-teens. I started traveling for performances and stuff. So the passion was stronger, it was growing. I studied at the Bharatiya Bhavan, and Panditji's a patron there. So he used to visit. In 2002, he was doing this big concert called Concert for George. He took quite a few musicians, mainly the teachers, to perform. And he wanted another percussionist. The director, my teacher, everyone's like, oh, take Pirashanna, you know, he's my senior student, he'll come and play. At that time, I thought, okay, yeah, this is just like a one-off, whatever, you know, it's never gonna happen again. And then after that, he did another project at the Dartington College of Music. Again, he called me up. And then the Festival of India thing happened. And then I was like, wow, he really wants me, huh? Once that call came, I was just like, wow. And I think after that, after touring with them, I think I had the confidence. I was like, okay, maybe there is a chance of me doing music full time. When I was getting serious with music, and I started performing instead of working, a lot of people around me did say, no, don't do this. What do you think you're doing? It's not going to support you. You're not going to be able to sustain yourself, blah, 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 this and that. It was difficult. I mean, people were discouraging me. I mean, I even had musicians come up to me and say, hey, don't do this. But I ignored it, and I just took it up. I just did it. Why do I do it? That 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours that you're on stage and that buzz you get, you know, if you have like 10,000 people in the audience, that kind of high that you're on, that's why you do it.
We are visiting the Ravi Shankar Institute for Music and Performing Arts in Delhi. It was set up by the Ravi Shankar Foundation to introduce groups of talented musicians to a Gurukul system of learning. Within its halls, our 3 collaborators will take their first step on their Dewarist journey.
Hello.
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 Beautiful
Oh, who do I have
girl.
first? Hi.
How are you?
Hi. Here first.
Hi.
Hi.
Sanjeev. How are you, brother?
Doing?
Really well, a bit jet lagged.
Yeah. When did you arrive?
Today.
That's wonderful. Have you guys thought about the collaboration at all, or
Have you?
the song?
What are we doing?
You'll see.
What's
As you can
actually
see.
happening?
What's actually happening?
Well, I think a lot of it will come together when we all
Yeah.
get together. I mean, I've got a couple of ideas, and I want to hear yours. You know, I think we've all worked together in such different permutations that it'll be interesting to all work together collaboratively.
Have you, all 3 of you worked together before? Yeah. Okay.
We've
Well, performed
Yeah.
together.
Okay, performed
Yeah.
together.
but not kind of sat down to write a piece
Right.
of music
Yeah,
together. So,
Yeah, and we were just talking about how I mean, both, you're in this phase where you really want to
Wanna write
compose
music,
more.
yeah.
And so that's very exciting. And it's Delhi. Delhi's beautiful. You grew up here?
partly. It was only built, completed building maybe 10 years ago.
Can you show me around?
Can do.
Music punctuates almost every instance in an Indian's life. Yet there are few institutions that explore and encourage its development. It seems to be the perfect place to start off our own search for inspiration. We're headed to composer and one half of Medieval Pundits, Gaurav Raina's studio. It's where Gaurav's ease with electronica is going to help us produce our piece.
Hello!
Everyone's in the studio, they're working through their song ideas. Gaurav and Anoushka met to kind of discuss what they wanted to do on the track.
We were talking about that bularia rhythm because we've been working with a lot of bularias and I'm really into it because it's a 12-beat cycle.
I was saying that what if we simplify it a little? So you're saying 12. How would it be in 6?
What they do in a bularia generally is that's the established pattern where people would recognize it's a bularia. But that doesn't mean they play it that way the whole time. So you
Okay.
can treat the 2 6s separately.
We kind of got together and discussed what we would be doing, what kind of direction we were going to be going in.
First of all, we laid down the whole structure of the song. And we did that using the sitar, where Anoushka basically played all the different parts, very rough, very fast. and that gave us a structure of the track.
And then you can go into faster triplets of tak it, tak it, tak it, tak it, tak it. You know, I love that.
You want to do verses, or we use the shehnai as verse and you in chorus, or how?
Well, I don't want it to be too predictable, but obviously between shehnai and sitar, the shehnai should dominate more of the lyrical passages. Well, everything seemed to move really quickly. I expected it to take longer, but I think we kind of got a good idea. I think the combination of sitar with shehnai and then all of the percussion is just sounding really strong. So I guess it's good elements and then that little bit of luck.
A cup of tea is sometimes the most powerful weapon you can think of. It's over a cup that decisions are sometimes made, moods are altered, and even groundbreaking ideas stumbled upon. We're headed to Elma's Bakery at Hoskos, the quaintest corner you can find in one of the most polished spots of Delhi.
I love this place. When I came back last time, I think I came here every day for a couple of weeks.
Really?
After that.
So you grew up between London and Delhi and
then
California.
California.
Tell me a little bit then about moving here.
Well, I moved here. I started going to school here when I was 8, and I went to the British school for 3 years. And then after that, I would come back with my parents for the winter months when all of the music festivals have. It's kind of known as music season here with the classical music circuit. And so it's interesting because a lot of the friends I have here now are, people I've known since I was like 8, 9, 10, or met through those people. So it's a very old circuit.
When did
of
you
friends.
meet Gaurav? And
I met Gaurav probably about 10 years ago now. And again, it was sort of an extension of meeting friends, and it's all eventually one big circle. You know?
Anoushka and I are settling into an afternoon cuppa as she walks me through her fantastic life. The boys, meanwhile, are in the middle of a different sort of interaction. They found themselves on the rooftops of Shadipur Depot. What was once a slum is now a unique community of actors, singers, puppeteers, jugglers, and musicians.
We are in this place called Shadipur Depot. I've known about this place for so long, but it's the first time that I'm visiting here. It's such a great feeling. It's like almost like visiting the roots again. See Pirashanna jammed together, it was like a combination of two different worlds coming together.
For us, we've had a lot of training and a lot of brain work, a lot of math, but for them it's just play from your heart, and it was amazing.
I'm guessing our individual interactions have sparked off something in our musicians. We are now headed back to the studio to set down our notes and kickstart our project.
They had decided on a vibe prior to showing up to the space today to basically create an arrangement around one central idea. They had sat in the studio and they just kind of jammed on their ideas.
We did a sort of rough rhythm breakdown in threes, but I was really curious to try and develop that bulería idea a bit more.
We came into the studio with a rough idea of what we were going to do.
And then as far as the melody structure and stuff, we should work on together. But if you hear the rhythm stuff first, that kind of original idea we had of the but then from there where we go.
They're developing on the ideas, the choruses, the verses, the breakdowns, there's a sawal jawab section. Which
I'd love us to work out like some good sawal jawab kind of stuff.
By the way, what rag is this? Like what?
We've been trying to figure that out. It's really weirdly in between stuff because when we started working on this, it was more within a flamenco scale because flamenco works within rags like Bhairav and Bhairavi. I'm not sure how to define it as far as genre. I mean, it's not really staying faithful to a raga. If anything, it's staying more faithful to a flamenco rhythm, which is a bulería. And then from there, we're kind of taking that and transplanting that into, a lot of electronic modes.
So I was thinking that we start with him. Just develop the percussion because it's a little too beats heavy. So if we can lay a nice percussion bed, some effect percussions, we'll do some twisted stuff. Pirashanna is the tal of the track and he's holding the track down. He's doing mridangam and morsing.
Pirashanna just brings so much breath and variety to any piece of music he plays on. And it's interesting because when he works with me, we're kind of having within the Indian context, there's a cultural crossover because he's representing the Carnatic style. Sanjeev just brings such a soulfulness to everything he does. He's just such a sincere musician, everything he plays really comes from the heart, even as he starts to get rhythmic. It just never crosses that line of becoming acrobatic or anything. It's always soulful. And I think that's a really incredible quality to have. You want to just join on that? Do you want to play sooner as well? I'll have that.
Hello, Monica! Sanjeev being the shehnai, for me, he's kind of like the voice in the track, and there's a lead voice which would be Anoushka. There's a second voice which is the shehnai, which is a very extremely powerful instrument.
When musicians like that come together and when you get to really see them in this element, there's a musical communication that happens without words.
We've been working together for so long. We don't need a lot of words to express what we want actually. So it's just, we look at each other and it's conveyed. The basic structure is completed.
It's dark, edgy. It's got the complexity of the flamenco.
Tomorrow we'll be working more on the beautification of the song.
Today, it's day 3. They worked out many of the parts yesterday through the night and they jammed on the song.
And I'm really grateful that we all actually sat and played through the piece together yesterday, and that way we all had a sense of what that was like and were able to tap into that individually.
Today, they've been focusing on tracking.
That's interesting. Also.
Something like this?
Yeah, very nice.
What was fun was I didn't know walking in what Sanjeev would have done for his alap and stuff, so that was quite fresh, and to walk in and just get to accompany that.
For the chorus, if she's taking the lead on the chorus, can you give fillers? Sanjeev jumped in and did his parts beautifully. Shehnai suddenly changed the mood of the whole song. Very nice, very nice.
And then it was my turn. I started off putting down a morsing track.
He came in like a really strong holding down percussion element in the track, which suddenly made it all really groovy and punchy. All right, I think we're done with more thing. Let's do Mridangam.
What's really cool about Prasanna is he's in almost transcendental state with his eyes closed and his body is moving, but his mind is just channeling something so much higher.
There was a lot of stuff with the production that had to stay kind of simple until Prasanna had come in and recorded rhythms. And now there's lots of sections where we can go into what he's played and get more detailed in the production to kind of complement or contrast with what he's done.
Awesome! And last of all, Anoushka fared out all her melodies which she had composed.
I had a good idea of what I wanted to play on this piece and what I wanted the sitar to say.
And that gave us all the meat.
Today was a very long day. Now we're editing the track, tweaking stuff, taking stuff out, and basically putting the final track together.
You kind of record a bunch of stuff and you love it all because you're excited and you're in the moment. Then you have to go in and choose the best of everything and then you have to start arranging.
No, see, that was the earlier take
Right.
where it was speaking, and then we took this take, which was just those last three things.
Yeah.
There's so much that we have recorded. All the musicians had so many different takes. It's going to be a little tricky to edit it because how do you decide between two beautiful parts of music? So that's on one, right? Today, suddenly the track just kicked in and everyone was like jumping with joy. It was a really, really cool moment. I'm extremely happy. I mean, it's a wonderful experience.
The track come together quite well in a very different, unique way, and I'm really happy about it.
I'm really happy with the collaboration. I love these guys and they're all just so good at what they do and we've had a laugh.
In some cultures, families are prized higher than the individual. But in some rare cases, the family's heritage allows an individual talent to shine just as brightly. Our collaboration today celebrates that precious balance. The ability to honor your guru while building your own individual personality. Because no matter what happens along the way, some things are just worth doing.
Today we completed the music video for the song of this particular collaboration, which is called The Gypsy.
I'm really happy with the way the song's turned out. It's got a lot of energy. It's brought me back to Delhi, which has made me really happy. I've gotten to, work with people I love here, and it's just been a really, really lovely experience.
The chemistry was great. We know each other's strengths really well, so I think that really helped.
I think we have done pretty well with the track, and it sounds really good.
Even though there are no lyrics or vocals, to kind of latch onto, you still will find yourself humming the tune in your head.
Something new has come up, and I think everybody will like it, and we are quite happy with what we have done.
All these instruments are really highlighted in different points throughout the track, and they get to also have a dialogue between each other, and so I'm really happy with the way that turned out.
There was constant music revolving around me, so I think that's what attracted me towards the music.
When I joined the band, honestly never thought that a vocalist like me could ever be a part of the band. I had no idea about the Indian music circuit at that point.
The pulse and the beat, I seemed to connect to that from the beginning. And once I got into the studio, that's where I felt that, okay, this is something I would want to get into professionally.
Just burned a bunch of my own CDs, just, walked into like random places that had anything to do with anything creative.